Okay, so let's start off by looking at the IELTS Reading Basics, Part 1. All right, and let's try to kind of focus on what are some of the basic of IELTS reading. For a lot of students, they really think that the IELTS reading part is probably the most difficult part, but I think once you really understand it, once you really understand IELTS reading, based on our strategies and techniques that we teach, I really believe that you're going to find it to be um, of equal difficulty to the other sections of the test. But let's go over some of the basics for IELTS listening. Okay? I'm sorry, IELTS reading. All right, so reading comprehension, as you know, it really comes down to understanding some of the basics, and those involve really understanding you have 3 reading passages you have to do. You have 13 to 14 questions for each reading passage. Um, there are there really are only 2 basic types of questions that you have to deal with for reading comprehension. It's really almost all multiple choice or fill the blank. There are just different variations of a fill the blank question, and there are different variations of a multiple choice question. Um, and reading comprehension most of the time gets progressively more difficult, meaning that the first reading passage is going to be something that you can manage with, not with ease, but is your basic level, and then you have reading passage 2, which is more difficult, and reading passage 3 is actually more difficult also. The question types don't change, right? You'll have fill the blank questions in reading passage 1. You'll have fill the blank questions in reading passage 3. What makes it more difficult is with each reading passage, the level of English that you have to be able to understand and comprehend and digest is more difficult and more complicated. It's very much like the listening section of the IELTS exam, where with the listening section, it gets more difficult as you go along. All right? So, we went over this in terms of the basics. You have a total of 60 minutes. So that means you only have 20 minutes to do one passage. A lot of students don't understand 20 minutes is a short amount of time. And for IELTS reading, there really is no time for you to read the passage and then answer the questions. You have to understand that you can actually start with the questions. You can start with the questions because the questions are going to tell you what information is important to scan for and locate within a reading passage. That's how students are able to finish in 20 minutes time. Okay? And as you go through the video lectures with us, you're going to learn how to do that. Next, some of the keys to doing well. Definitely learning academic vocabulary. I can't say enough how important it is that you learn vocabulary. Really, you have to. Some students come to me sometimes and they say, "Well, what if I don't know vocabulary? What am I supposed to do? How can I still do very well on the exam?" You can't. You can't. Okay, you're not going to be able to do that. You're not going to be able to do very well. That's like asking. That's like somebody who doesn't have legs ask how can he run in the 100-meter dash. You can't. You can't run. You don't have any. So you need vocabulary. All right, and next you have to learn how to scan. Okay, you have to learn how to IELTS scan. And when I say IELTS scan, I say that because very often what you have to be able to do is understand the keywords in a question and then be able to scan for synonyms of those keywords in the reading passage so you know what's the right sentence to read. All right, I'm going to give you a little bit of a breakdown and explanation of test design, of test design in terms of the IELTS exam. For the vast majority of the time, what they're doing is when a person creates the test, what they're doing is they are looking at a sentence in a paragraph, and then from that sentence in a paragraph, they create a question. Okay, and so but when they create the question, they use synonym language. They don't use the exact language that's in the passage. And also within that sentence, very often, is where the answer is located. Sometimes what they do is they'll take 2 sentences from the passage two sentences from a paragraph in the passage, and then when they make a question, they combine those two sentences into a question. And so if you're able to look at the key words in the question and then go scan and locate that sentence or two sentences from where the question was made, you can always find the answer right there. So in terms of the IELTS exam, that's a very big key to doing well. Time management is very important. Most students don't finish because they read and they read and they read and they read. They read the whole paragraph. The answer is always coming from one or two sentences maximum. And probably I would say 75% of the time is coming from one sentence. Okay? And our question strategy. A lot of students just do the exam and they have no idea of strategy, and that's why they waste so much time. Some other things that are really important. You don't have to do the questions in order from 1 to 40. All right, some students just start at number 1 and try to go all the way to number 40. Some question types are easier than others. All right, and you want to maybe start and do those first, because your overall goal is to try to get as much right as possible. This is what your general reading looks like for your reading scores you need. You can look down here for most of you that are doing academic. If you want to get a 7, like a band score of a 7, that means you can only get 30. You can only get 10 wrong. You have to get 30 out of 40 correct. That means on average, for the average reading passage, you're not getting more than 3 wrong. 3 wrong, 3 wrong, 3 wrong. That's 9 wrong. That's how you end up with getting a 7. Okay? That's how you get a 7. Some students try to just guess their way through. No real way to do that. You have to be able to have good academic and understand the proper strategy. All right, IELTS reading is really a test of 2 things. That's all. Can you locate the part of the text that has the answer? Do you comprehend that part of the text? You have to be able to find the information and understand the information. And they're doing that over and over and over again. Find the information, understand the information. Find the information, understand the information. Everybody knows that. Everybody who teaches IELTS exam should know that. They should understand that. However, I have seen very few teachers that actually understand that. Maybe I can count on one hand of the teachers that, other than myself, that really understand that the IELTS exam is about finding and understanding information. Okay? And that's it. So that's why I say you have to be very good at scanning so you can find the right information. And then you have to have really good vocabulary so you can be able to understand very well. All right. So also, these are our basics for IELTS reading. These are our basic set number 1. And in the next lecture, we're going to be going over a few more basics for IELTS reading. So I look forward to teaching you, and I think we're going to have a great success. I'll talk to you soon.